When we think of McGuffins, we think the Ark of the Covenant, the Death Star, and the Infinity Stones. The McGuffin motivates protagonists into action, and often the third act resolution depends on obtaining the object or otherwise defeating it. Wonder Woman 1984 isn't without a McGuffin. The Dreamstone certainly qualifies. It propels the story, with Diana Prince, Barbara Minerva, and Maxwell Lord, not to mention anonymous thieves having interest in it. Though the search for the Dreamstone kicks off with an adventure, it gets destroyed in the middle of the movie and is personified as Maxwell Lord. So what becomes the McGuffin in the final act? What must be obtained? What must be chased after and found? It's not a what, but a who. And it's chased by the villain rather than the heroes. It's Alistair, Maxwell Lord's son. And what makes Alistair special? He's a child. Children are one of the movie's themes, and it's been dangling in front of us since the film's opening sequences. The first of two opening sequences showcases a young Diana in a public race to see who's the fastest and most clever, complete with analog milestones. The second opening sequence showcases a 1984 Wonder Woman breaking up jewelry thieves' operation. By no fault of their own, children get in the way, viewed by the men as obstacles that slow them down. Sometimes the male characters figure out ways to get rid of them. Of course, Wonder Woman saves them. Alistair's introduction is shoehorned into the film. His entry makes him a literal nuisance as he stands in an awkward discussion between his father and a skeptical business associate. The scene is almost a paternity test. Will you accept him and embrace him now? Or do you prefer to prioritize work? The future of your career hangs in the balance. The next example of child endangerment comes when Wonder Woman chases a truck convoy. She meets resistance from men protecting the McGuffin in Max Lord, and must dodge bullets and crawl under vehicles. Then comes the trope, why you don't let children play in the middle of the street. Wonder Woman has to save them. The symbolism couldn't be more explicit. No matter your plans, children will be a part of them in your roadmap of life. As we see Diana embrace children, literally, Max Lord distances himself from his child. There is a physical barrier between them, a glass wall. Not the first time a wall in the film causes angst. When the streets of DC fall into chaos, Diana pays particular attention to a mother and children. No man is present. There is also a very subtle image of a male police officer, a symbol of authority, who has given up and doesn't know what to do. It's easy to overlook in your first viewing. Should we blame a misandric conspiracy that all men are evil save Steve Trevor and he's dead? I think it's a deliberate decision that the image of good masculine role models are absent because Max Lord has not embraced it. If Max Lord won't be a good man, then there will be no good men anywhere. Watch the scene yourself and decide if they were random set pieces or deliberate messaging. Then we come to Alistair, left alone pleading to a 1980s computer monitor. It's shown side by side with other tense moments. That implies it should have the same emotional resonance. Out of nowhere, he went from a son who visits every other weekend to a McGuffin who can save the Earth from nuclear war. How is this possible? Before we answer that, like, share, or subscribe if you enjoy this content and like to see more videos like this one. Alistair is the mirror image of a young Diana Prince and is the second of the film's two bookends, a young child living with the mother while the father is mostly absent, but he is otherwise known to be, let's say, powerful and influential. The child likes to run and ends up with the parent. That's not just a story for Diana, but may be shared with Alistair. Messages may be deliberate, implicit, or just plain coincidental. If you haven't decided whether or not Alistair was a mirror image of a young Diana, remember what her mother says to her: "The world is not yet ready for all that you will do." Is that proverb meant for Diana or for Maxwell Lord? Lord begins his chase, his quest for his McGuffin. We know this because he calls out his name several times. Meanwhile, the young McGuffin wanders into the world. The conclusion of the third act falls on the bond between father and his son as the two of them talk to themselves. And by sheer luck, coincidence, or supernatural homing ability, Alistair reunites with his father after he finishes a wind sprint, little different than young Diana started with hers. Like the opening scene, there is a sobering lecture. This time, it is the adult who confesses wrongdoing, and the child reassuring. Only after the story was essentially over do we get a flashback montage exploring the reasons for Maxwell's personality traits and motivations. Because it was done in the end, too late to invoke curiosity or emotion, it was only postscript trivia. Had it been done in fragments throughout the film, depicted in daydreams, it would have had more depth, nuance, or better described, mystery. Curiosity keeps us on the edge of our seats. But director Patty Jenkins decided against it, and I suspect because the flashback scenes depicted other children as less than noble, and that threatened the theme of children being innocent, selfless, and an unavoidable source of bliss and responsibility. The final act, that depended on Lord's redemption, hinged on him giving up his wishes for his child. A director can choose to communicate a theme through a character or straight to the audience. The problem here is we already know that children were important to Wonder Woman, especially when she saves them. But we don't see the character Maxwell Lord experience anything similar. There is no father-son bonding other than rushed conversations. There's no examples in Maxwell's eyes of the cherished fatherhood. We see him being an absent father with no opportunity or reason to change his ways, other than implied decency. I presume the director was communicating that message straight to the audience. Everyone knows the children are our future. Thus, by default, it's important to Maxwell Lord too. This approach sounds as simple as a Simpsons cartoon episode.
Children, children, future, future.
There, I thought the payoff was light emotionally, not helped by the fight scene between Wonder Woman and Catwoman, not helped by the fight scene between Wonder Woman and Cheetah. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Wonder Woman 1984 and its use of children? Compelling final act or emotionally contrived? This is Mr. G of Synergy saying, now the world is ready for you and the wonders you can do. Check out other videos on my channel. Thanks for watching.